Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Now, there has been a new organisation set up in Parliament, and it's the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Fair Elections. Long title, but it has one simple aim. It wants to end the now outdated, past its prime, first past the post voting system, which has resulted in an absolute landslide for a party that should never have been given the landslide. It's just the vagaries and complexities of that system that ended up like this. A party like Labour, an extremist, a Marxist party, that ends up in power with this massive, unwarranted majority simply by dint of this now corrupted voting system that absolutely has to change. Now, PR has to be the way forward. And so this group is now saying it. What they're saying is that the first past the post was fine. And I thought it was fine too. I agree it was fine. When we had a 2.5 party state that existed for 60, 70, 80 years. But those days have gone. We've got a multi-party state now. We've got, six parties, Labour, Tory, Lib Dem, SNP, Greens, Reform, 6. Plaid Cymru, possibly, but that's a little half, but you've got these parties now, all sitting in Westminster. First past the post, no longer fit for purpose. And of course, it doesn't give you democracy. How can you possibly have democracy at any stage when a party that gets 20% of the electorate voting for it ends up with 63% of the seats? It's plainly wrong. It's plainly disproportional to the support they received. Now, there are, of course, many different types of PR, many different types of proportional representation. Which one would be best for Britain remains to be seen. But anything is better than the system we have. If you have proportional representation, it stops the extremism. You won't get a hugely voted in Marxist government. You will have some Marxist government like we've got, or Marxist politicians, but they'll be extremists. Nobody really want to go into power with them. You'll have a lot of centrist, left of centre, right of centre, dead on the line centrists. There'll be a few slightly more right, slightly more left or whatever. But you have a rainbow coalition and you can pick who does what from where and what. What it will do, and this is where it works the best, is it stops extreme policies. It stops the policies that the Labour Party we have now is pushing. And that, of course, is vitally important. Now, how you get to this point is going to be difficult. There's no chance Labour themselves are going to propose this as a government. They got in on this, but they'll be going out on it. And they've said they're not changing it. It means that whoever comes in, and it's, let's face it, probably going to be a coalition between Tory and Reform. They've said they want it. Nigel Farage definitely wants it. He said all along PR has got to happen. He says that without it, you've got no democracy, because you can have basically one party wiping the slate and other parties don't even get an existence. They don't get policies through. They don't get a say or a voice. And so he's absolutely up for it. And Kemi Badenoch has said she's looking at it. She's more minded toward. So there's this group that's formed. Now, what is surprising, and this is where at first sight you'll be, what, really? But then when you think about it, you're like, yes, of course. Because of these people, there's about 100 of them that have formed this group. Half of them are Labour. And you think, what? Surely Labour are in. They got in that first past the post. They don't want that, do they? Well, of course they do, because they know first past the post will take them out next time. They're done. And so they want to make sure there's at least some Labour MPs next time, because first past the post, there might not be any the way it's going, or certainly very few. They could be down to a rump, 30 or 40 MPs, and that would be laughable. That'd be such a hell of a lot of money lost, you know. And when you've got no influence like that, no power, what will happen? Well, I think the complete opposite of where we are now. You'd have a right party very much of the right, but with no opposition. And that, again, is a bad thing. You do need opposition. You do need people to be held to account, to be questioned, and to have the right question when you're imposing policy. People saying, "Are you sure this? Are you sure that?" And you need it. For a healthy democracy, you need a strong opposition. Labour won't be the opposition, and if it is a Tory and Reform coalition, how many seats are they going to have between them? And secondly, who's going to be the opposition? The Lib Dems? God help us, Ed Davey, if he's still there. It's not there. But then that's the point. This is why these Labour MPs are now pushing for it. Now, rumour is they want to push for it. I mean, Starmer's made it clear he's not changing, but this group are going to start pushing now. Boom, 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 boom. They want to bring in this constitutional change before the next election. Is not going to happen. But it means that when the Labour Party are booted out, and it's the Tory, maybe, I'm talking as though it's going to be, but probably the Tory Reform coalition government next, they'll be the last government, hopefully, voted in under first past the post, and that they'll then have to deal with it and go change it. And in the following election will be a proportional representation, a PR, of, like I say, of whatever flavour. There are several. There's transferable votes, and then there's pick your top tens and all sorts of madcap ideas. I personally just like first and second. That's it. It's all you need, first and second. And then you allocate first votes out flat, second votes out flat, do the additions, and then that's the makeup is those parties get those allocated those seats by the points they get. Quite an easy system. The system they use in the EU also seems a bit skewed. Not a terrible system, but it does seem a little bit skewed. I think the Scottish system is another one. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. You know, and then there's some that you do rather than a single transferable vote is just the first and second. You can do so. Anyway, they're all very, very complex. There's many, many flavours. Don't care. Got to change. And we've got to get past this very distorted, ancient, out-of-date electoral system. But it is cracking that so many people are for it. Now, the only side effect of it is, of course, that it favours parties over individuals. And so you would probably have to make allowance for individuals rather than parties. Build in some safeguards. It needs looking at, but it's there. And it has to happen. We cannot be allowed to be ruled by this. Now, I'm going to say that we need another election and that it should be fought under proportional representation. And this just isn't me with a sore ass because we lost. This is me saying that every single thing the Labour Party said in its manifesto was a lie, and that everything they're doing was never mentioned. And if the Labour Party had said before the election they're going to do the things they're doing, they'd never have got in. And therefore, this electoral victory is a fraud. It's a fake perpetrated on the good people of this country, and it should be run out of town, cancelled and rerun. And this time said, you've got to stick. And that's the other thing I bring in, a legal binding mandate. If it's on the mandate, you must attempt it. If it's not on the mandate, you must not. With exceptions, obviously, there's fast changing times. But generally, if it isn't on the mandate, don't do it. If it is on the mandate, you must do it. And if you don't do it, there should be a punishment. If you're a big enough party to form a government and form the leadership or whatever, and you fail to get your mandate through, you should be fined or made to lose your seats and things like that. Look, yeah, you come down, you're going to lose 3 seats. Pick which 3 seats you're not going to fight. That'll concentrate the minds, wouldn't it? Anyway, not going to happen. It's a shame. Let me know what you think. Thanks very much. Goodbye.